What if I told you that Ferrari doesn't have the fastest car, but it does have the most dangerous driver on the entire grid right now? Subscribe to continue uploading more of this type of content now, if we continue. Because while everyone looks to Mercedes as the reference, there is something much more important happening inside Ferrari, and that is that Lewis Hamilton has not only adapted to the SF-26, he is mastering it as if the car had been designed solely for him. And the most shocking thing of all, it's not that he's performing well, it's that he's starting to leave Leclerc behind on his own turf. Before Suzuka, where the slightest mistake pays dearly, Hamilton has found something that no one else has: total control over a car that for the rest is indomitable. What is happening right now within Ferrari is not normal, and to understand why Hamilton is surprising everyone, including Leclerc, we have to start with an uncomfortable reality. The SF-26 is not, by any means, the best car on the grid. In fact, Ferrari continues to have a clear disadvantage in power and energy management compared to Mercedes, something that under normal conditions should limit any real aspiration for dominance before Suzuka. But this is where the first big twist of this story comes in, because Hamilton is breaking that logic. You're not winning because you have the best car, you're winning because you're driving in a way that makes the car seem better than it really is. And this completely changes the internal context of the team. From the tests and the first sessions, there were already signs that something different was happening. While other drivers continued to struggle to understand the behavior of this new generation of more nervous cars, with less downforce and much more oversteer, Hamilton made a decision that separates him from the rest. He stopped fighting the car. Instead of trying to stabilize the rear end like most do, he decided to accept that unstable limit and build his speed from there. This is not a minor detail, it is a completely different driving philosophy. Because when a driver tries to tame the car, he loses time. But when you understand and use it, you start to find return where others only see risk. And this is where the difference with Leclerc begins to be noticed. Because Charles, being one of the fastest drivers on a lap, continues to depend more on a balanced car, more predictable, more aligned with his natural style. Not Hamilton. Hamilton is comfortable in chaos. He is comfortable with a car that moves, that slides, that requires constant corrections. This translates directly to the track: more aggressive entries, later braking, greater speed at the apex, but above all, a much more efficient corner exit thanks to its ability to modulate the accelerator without destroying the tires. In an era where electric torque is brutal and traction is everything, that difference is pure gold. But the most important thing about this act is not only how he drives, but why he is able to do it. And here appears a factor that Ferrari had not had in years: total preparation. Hamilton did not come to this project to improvise. He spent months working in the simulator, understanding each reaction of the SF-26, fine-tuning details that now, on the runway, allow him to react almost instinctively. That is to say, while other drivers are still interpreting the car, Hamilton has already internalized it. He no longer thinks, he acts. And in Formula One, that difference is abysmal. Therefore, when we see that he can stand up to and even surpass Leclerc in certain situations, it is no coincidence. It is the direct consequence of a symbiosis that is several steps ahead within the team itself. And this is where the real tension of this story begins to build, because Ferrari signed Hamilton to compete, but not necessarily to displace its star driver. However, what we are seeing in these early phases before Japan is something much deeper. Hamilton is not only adapting to Ferrari, it's starting to redefine how that Ferrari should be driven. The problem for Ferrari is not that Hamilton is performing well, is that he's beginning to expose something much deeper within the team, and it is a crack that until now had gone unnoticed. The SF-26 is not made for two driving styles, it is beginning to revolve around just one. And that style is not Leclerc's. This is where the story gets really uncomfortable, because while from the outside it seems that Ferrari has taken a step forward with Hamilton, on the inside the situation is much more complex. The car has a very particular technical base, less aerodynamic load, more dependence on the rear axle, a more aggressive power delivery through the electrical component, and all this generates extremely sensitive behavior, where small changes alter everything. In this context, Ferrari faces a silent but critical decision: where to evolve the car. Because in Formula One, when a driver starts to make a difference consistently, development tends to align with him. And that's exactly what's starting to happen with Hamilton. Not because Ferrari has explicitly decided so, but because the data is pushing it there. Hamilton is being more effective in real race conditions. He is managing the tires better. He is extracting more performance in long stints. And above all, he is giving clear direction on how the car should behave in medium and fast corners. That, for engineers, is gold. Meanwhile, on the other side of the garage, Leclerc begins to find himself in a strange position. Not because he is performing poorly, but because the car no longer responds exactly to what he needs to maximize his speed. And this is something that has already begun to be noticed in recent situations, where Hamilton has even been able to win on the track in direct duels, something that should not be so clear in this initial phase. This is where the real conflict of the act appears, because this is no longer just a question of performance, it is a question of identity within the team. Ferrari has been building its project around Leclerc for years, adapting concepts, developments, and philosophy to his way of driving. But in a matter of weeks, Hamilton has arrived and shown that there is another, more effective way in this technical context to exploit the car. And the most dangerous thing for Leclerc is that this way works better with the current rules. This generates brutal internal pressure, because if Ferrari decides to follow the path that Hamilton is setting, it is not only betting on him in the present, it is redefining its future. And all this happens just before Suzuka. A circuit that does not forgive, where the balance of a car in fast corners is everything, where confidence in the rear axle makes the difference between being competitive or disappearing. And on that type of layout, Hamilton's style fits almost perfectly with the demands of the SF-26. So we come to a critical point in the story. Ferrari is not just playing for one result in Japan. It's up to you to decide, without saying it openly, who your number one driver really is. And so we reach the point where everything is defined, because what Hamilton has built before Japan is not just performance, it is a position of power within Ferrari that can change everything in a matter of a single race. Because Suzuka is not just another circuit. Suzuka is the circuit that exposes the truth. There is no place to hide weaknesses, there is no room to compensate with strategy what you don't have in pure rhythm, and above all, there is no way to drive halfway. Either you have complete confidence in the car, or you just can't go fast, and this is where everything falls into place almost perfectly for Hamilton. A nervous car with oversteer with a lively rear that demands absolute precision, and a driver who not only is not afraid of that, but needs it to make a difference. That makes the SF-26 at Suzuka very different depending on who is behind the wheel. For most, it will be a difficult car. For Hamilton, it can be a weapon. And this brings us to the key moment in the entire story. Because if Hamilton manages to impose that style in Japan, if he manages to translate that connection with the car into a convincing result, there will no longer be possible internal debate. Ferrari will not be able to ignore the obvious. You will no longer be able to balance two different paths. You will have to choose. And when a Formula One team chooses, everything changes. Change the development of the car. Priorities change. Strategic decisions change. And above all, it changes the hierarchy within the team. Leclerc, who for years was the center of the project, would move to a completely different position, forced to adapt to a car that is no longer made for him, but for someone who has arrived and in weeks has rewritten the rules of the game. But the most shocking thing is not that. The most shocking thing is that Hamilton is doing all this without having the best car on the grid. Imagine what can happen if Ferrari manages to close that technical gap. Imagine what can happen if that style, which is already making a difference, is combined with a really competitive car. That's where this story stops being a surprise and starts to become a real threat to the entire grid. Because then we would no longer be talking about a driver adapting to a team. We will be talking about a driver who has once again found his most dominant version, and a Ferrari that, for the first time in years, is clear about where it should go. And just before the lights go out in Suzuka, the feeling is becoming clearer. Hamilton has not only surprised Ferrari, you may be about to lead it. And after everything we have analyzed, the conclusion is as clear as it is uncomfortable for Ferrari. This is no longer just about performance, it is about direction. Because Hamilton has not simply come to compete, he has come to change the team's internal rules in record time. He has taken a difficult, unstable, limited car compared to its rivals and has turned it into a tool capable of making real differences on the track, something that not everyone can do, much less in such a short time. And most importantly, he has done it in a way that Ferrari cannot ignore. Because when a driver not only performs but also defines how the car should be driven, how it should evolve, and where the real limit of performance is, that driver is no longer just another driver. It becomes the center of the project, although no one says it openly. That's exactly what's starting to happen here. Leclerc has not gotten worse. Ferrari has not made a miraculous leap. What has changed is that Hamilton has found a way to exploit this SF-26 that fits perfectly with the new era of Formula One. More unstable, more demanding cars, more dependent on fine control and sensitivity to the limit. And in that field, Hamilton is one step ahead. Therefore, everything that happens in Suzuka will not be just another race. It will be the confirmation of a trend that is already being built. If Hamilton makes the difference again, Ferrari will have no choice but to follow that path. And at that moment, history will change completely. Because we will no longer be talking about a star signing, adapting to a new team. We will be talking about a pilot who has arrived to lead a new era. An era where Ferrari stops chasing and starts building around someone who has shown that, even without the best car, he can seem unstoppable. And now the real question is not whether Hamilton can surprise again. The real question is, what will happen when Ferrari gives him exactly the car he needs? Subscribe to continue uploading more of that content. Now you really think about all this.